My husband's best friend. Story of forbidden passion, obsession, and danger, with an open ending. Clara always believed she had built a perfect life, or at least, that's how everyone else saw it. She was married to a stable, loyal man. They lived in a comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood, surrounded by smiling friends, predictable routines, and Sunday barbecues. Daniel, her husband, was everything a woman could ask for. Kind, attentive, dependable. He kissed her goodbye every morning, brought her flowers on their anniversary, and never raised his voice. But what no one knew, not even Daniel, was that Clara wasn't looking for stability anymore. She was starving for something else. Something that shook her to the core. Something unpredictable, dangerous, forbidden. And life, with its wicked sense of irony, handed her exactly what she craved in the form of the one man who should have never crossed her path. David, her husband's best friend from childhood. He showed up on a warm Saturday afternoon during a family barbecue. Clara was placing plates on the table when she heard the voice at the gate. Deep, confident, and soaked in nostalgia. Yo, my man. He entered like a storm. Tall, fit, arms tattooed, jawline sharp, eyes burning with something wild. David had been Daniel's shadow during their youth, but after moving away, he disappeared for more than a decade. Now he was back. A man who looked like he lived fast and kissed harder. Clara saw him, and the world stopped. Their eyes locked, and for a brief second, time itself bent. He smiled at her, not politely but with intent. And in that look, Clara felt something she hadn't felt in years. The thrill of being wanted. Not loved. Wanted. At first it was all tension. Harmless banter, playful smiles, casual touches that lingered too long. Clara pretended not to notice, but her body betrayed her. Every time David leaned in to speak, brushing against her arm, she shivered. He played the game with a quiet arrogance, like he knew exactly how this story would end. Her husband, meanwhile, laughed and drank with old friends, blissfully unaware that a wildfire was starting to grow inside his home. As the night deepened and guests left one by one, Daniel passed out on the couch, drunk and snoring. Clara stepped out to the balcony, needing air. David followed. He stood behind her, close enough that she felt the heat of his chest against her back. "Do you even know what you're doing to me?" he whispered. She didn't answer. She turned, and then she kissed him. The kiss wasn't soft. It was a collision. Hungry. Desperate. Reckless. His hands gripped her waist like he'd been dreaming of it for years. She melted into him, not because she was weak, but because she had finally found the chaos her soul was craving. Breathless, she pulled away, whispering, "We can't." But he could see in her eyes that she already had. "Then tell me to leave," he dared. She didn't. Instead, she walked backward slowly, leading him through the dim hallway, past her unconscious husband, and into the guest room. They locked the door behind them, and what happened next wasn't love, it was release. Their bodies clashed like waves in a storm. Clothes came off in desperate movements. Hands roamed, mouths searched, and the room filled with the sound of stifled moans and gasped breaths. For the first time in years, Clara felt alive. Ravaged. Worshipped. Free. That night was the beginning of everything. The start of a hidden world. They became lovers in secret, orchestrating their encounters like a forbidden symphony. They met in motels with fake names. In cars parked behind warehouses. In alleyways, even inside Clara's own house. When the timing was right. David became a frequent guest, always charming, always smiling. Daniel welcomed him with open arms. Clara played the part of the perfect hostess. And beneath that performance, her heart pounded with danger. Every stolen kiss, every secret text, every whisper in the dark, it only pulled them deeper. It wasn't just sex. It was an obsession. A fire that refused to die. And the more they tried to control it, the more it consumed them. David didn't just touch her body. He knew her in a way no one else ever had. He left handwritten notes inside books. Sent voice messages she'd only dare listen to behind locked doors. Sometimes they made love slowly, savoring each second. Other times, they tore each other apart, clawing at skin, needing to feel every inch. One night, they almost got caught. They were tangled in the back seat of his car when Daniel suddenly walked into the parking lot. Clara ducked. David lied through his teeth. Her heart threatened to explode, but when the danger passed, They kissed again. Harder. Rougher. The risk was part of the addiction. Clara's entire world became a balancing act. By day, she was the smiling wife, baking, cleaning, attending dinner parties. But by night, she was someone else. A woman who lived in shadows. Who ached for a man she could never claim. Who burned every time she heard his name. Daniel never suspected a thing. In fact, he started telling people how happy Clara seemed lately. "You're glowing," he'd say proudly. "I think David's visit has been good for you." And she'd smile, the kind of smile only a liar can master. Because the truth wasn't just dangerous. It was devastating. One rainy evening, David appeared without warning. Soaked, wild-eyed, trembling with hunger. Clara hesitated. Daniel was upstairs. But she didn't say no. They slipped into the bathroom, turned on the shower to mask the sounds, and devoured each other. Fast. Hard. Brutal. Afterward she wept. Not because of regret, but because she knew there was no turning back. She had become someone else. Not a cheater. Not a villain. But a woman who chose herself, no matter the cost. And that terrified her. Even as it thrilled her. Clara became more confident. More beautiful. More dangerous. She wore red lipstick again. Bought lingerie in secret. Lived 2 lives with the ease of someone who had nothing left to lose. She couldn't stop. Wouldn't stop. Because with David, she wasn't just touched. She was devoured. And once you've tasted that kind of hunger, soft kisses and quiet nights aren't enough. Then came the shift. Daniel started noticing things. Odd behavior. Perfume that wasn't hers. Questions about where she'd been, what she was doing, why David called her and not him. Clara answered them all. Flawlessly. But she could feel it. The ground beneath her was cracking. Meanwhile, David was growing impatient. Possessive. Obsessive. He wanted more. He wanted her to leave Daniel. "You don't belong to him anymore," he growled one night. "You're mine." She didn't respond. Because she didn't know anymore what belonged to who. And then, silence. David disappeared. No calls. No texts. No notes. She panicked. Checked motels, social media, old contacts. Nothing. He was just gone. Then, days later came the first email. No subject. No message. Just a photo. Blurry, zoomed in, but clear enough, her and David, outside their usual hotel. Kissing. Hands all over each other. Clara froze. Someone knew. Someone had been watching. She deleted the email. Blocked the sender. Pretended it never happened. But it haunted her. She slept less. Ate less. Her nerves frayed with each passing day. Until the second email arrived. A short video. The hotel room. Room 309. The bed. The mirror. And her. Naked. On top of David. Moving. Moaning. Captured. No faces. But it was them. The screen went dark. And Clara knew. The story wasn't over. It was only just beginning.